Thank you, Cancurra. Today, February the 28th, is World Rare Diseases Day, which is a day to raise awareness amongst the general public and decision makers about the impact of rare diseases on people's lives. On the 20th of September, more than 6 months ago, I raised the issue of spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, with you, and the need for the HSE to improve the reimbursement for a drug known as Spinraza. And it has been raised effectively on a weekly basis by many deputies across the House since. As we said, SMA is one of the most horrific diseases imaginable. And we had a meeting this morning hosted by Deputy O'Quillan in the AV room where it would break a stone heart to hear the stories from the families and from those with the condition. SMA debilitates lives, and until the arrival of Spinraza, there was nothing to effectively tackle it. People living with SMA spoke this morning about the impact of Spinraza, about this literally miracle drug, and about the new opportunities it presented to them. They laid out those testimonies in a very painful and a very direct manner. But along with the pain, there was bravery, there was courage, and there was a raw ambition to live lives and live lives to the fullest possible potential. An ambition on part of those older patients with it, an ambition on part of those parents who are seeing lives that they thought they wouldn't see. Because before the arrival of Spinraza, the average lifetime of somebody with SMA was 2 years. However, the HSE doesn't seem to share that ambition or doesn't seem to understand that pain, because last Friday it told families again that it would not approve Spinraza for reimbursement, and thereby took that chance away. And it has sentenced sufferers and their families to continued suffering, to emigration potentially, to one of the 25 countries that have approved it medically and financially. And I regret to say, and it was laid out very clearly to us this morning, this decision has potentially sentenced some of those sufferers to death, because without Spinraza, they will not survive SMA. 25 countries have approved Spinraza. 25 countries have approved and can stand over the clinical effectiveness of Spinraza. 25 countries have come to a deal with Biogen in terms of the pricing of Spinraza, yet we can't. We met, and a number of deputies have met with Biogen, and they have engaged with the HSE since September in a very detailed manner, and they've put a deal on the table which is considerably less than the prices the HSE are quoting publicly. And it strikes me that the HSE are deliberately misleading people about the potential cost of this drug in order to change the course of the debate. And at the same time, they're ignoring a potential €90 million in savings that have been pointed out to them by Deputy John Brazel through the use of what's known as biosimilars.
Deputy, please.
So, I want to ask you, why are the HSE using misinformation to add to the distress of families with SMA? Why will they not engage properly with Biogen around a deal that is on the table as opposed to a deal that they are making up? Can you ensure that the Minister for Health will meet directly with the families and the patients in the manner the deputies in this House did this morning to understand the consequences of this decision?
Before we proceed any further, can I please implore members to adhere to the time limits that are provided for questions? Please. Taoiseach.
Thank you, Cancurra, and thank you, Deputy, for raising this really sensitive and important issue. And it's been raised repeatedly. Certainly when I've taken leaders' questions, it's come up almost every second week for many, many months now. SMA, as has been described, is a terrible condition with awful consequences for sufferers and I'm sure extraordinary stress for families as well. I can completely understand the stress and frustration that each family must be under and the anxiety caused as they wait for news about funding of this drug. Can I say that the Government does want to see an agreement reached so that sufferers have access to the very best medication. However, We cannot ignore recommendations either from the HSE in terms of ensuring that we are spending appropriate amounts of money on lots of drugs for rare conditions. There have already been 2 approved so far this year through the system that we're talking about now. The price list sought by the company, the information that I have, Deputy, amounts to €600,000 per patient for the first year and €380,000 per patient per annum thereafter. Well, let me just give you the information that I have. Okay, I certainly stand open to questions. Following detailed consideration of an application from the manufacturer Biogen, the HSE leadership team made the decision that it was unable to recommend reimbursement of Spinraza at the price quoted on the 12th of February. On the 21st of February, it's last Thursday, the HSE wrote to the company informing them that the HSE proposal to refuse reimbursement at the current price offering, but have left the door open for the company to come back with a more realistic offering. Under the terms of the Health Pricing and Supply of Medical Goods Act 2013, the company has now, as I'm sure you know, 28 days to come back to the HSE with a proposal. The government is very keen to see agreement reached here, and we want the HSE to work proactively with the company so that we can find a middle ground position here that the company can accept in terms of pricing, and that the HSE can recommend to the government that can allow this drug to be made available. That is where we are. So the HSE has not recommended that there should not be reimbursement for Spinraza. They've made a recommendation that they can't do it at the price on offer. So I would encourage the company to engage and ensure that we find a way to ensure that patients and families who are stressed and suffering because of the anxiety and the weight on this issue, that we can bring that weight to an end if it's possible to do so.
Calleary.
Tánaiste, those prices that you're quoting are out by up to 50%, 50. And I know you've been given information, but we've actually gone and spoke to the company ourselves, and I accept that you've been given wrong information. That's why you need to take charge of this as Deputy Prime Minister, because there's no confidence in the families in the HSE or in the management of the Department of Health to actually see this through. Those prices are way out, and those prices cannot be used to stop families getting a better future. The Taoiseach, of course, tweeted this morning, in the lack of anything of substance, that today is International Rare Diseases Day. Up to 300,000 people in Ireland will be affected by a rare disease in their lifetime. We will do better in helping these patients and families in Ireland. Do better, Tánaiste. Do better for the parents of children with Spinraza, for the adults with SMA, and give them access to something that's going to transform their lives. And why we want you and the Minister to meet with these parents and meet with these patients, because you've got to meet them to understand how important this is and to understand the transformative nature of this drug, because the HSE clearly don't. And please, Tánaiste, get the right information.
Tánaiste.
No, well, Deputy, I will verify the information that I have. I do have a date next to that reimbursement price that was proposed of the 12th of February, which I suspect may be accurate. Perhaps there is a change since then in terms of the price that's on offer. If it is, well, then there is a structured mechanism for the company to engage. Deputy, please don't trivialise this issue. It's an important issue. We want to get it resolved. And there is an absolute willingness for the government to do that. But when we are talking about drugs for rare conditions and facilitating them, and we are doing that through the so far this year, as I've already said, if we ignore price as part of the discussion, well, then we are potentially paying money that could go into other drugs.
90 million in savings on the table.
Yeah. So the question here is that, of course, we want the best drugs to be available for rare conditions and other conditions. They're going through the assessment process. Cost has to be a part of that discussion.
Thank you, Tánaiste.
And the onus is now on the company to come back with a proposal that I certainly hope the HSE will be able to consider favourably.
Deputy O'Quailon.